What is up, everyone? Welcome back to We've Lost a Step with Ethan and Caroline, episode 18. Before we dive into the episode, just want to say follow, like all our stuff on Instagram, TikTok. We have a YouTube now, so you can see our beautiful faces, see all my many eye rolls at Ethan's comments. Go subscribe there, leave a review. Just wanted to get that shout out so people can continue to support. We really appreciate it. Tell your friends, tell your significant others, tell your dogs. Maybe don't tell your cats unless they're a naked cat. Tell your parents, tell everyone you know. If you're on a walk, you see someone, tell random people. We appreciate it.
Damn right.
Damn right. How was your last week?
It was pretty good. Can't really complain. We saw each other back in the ROC, the Rock. Did a little wine tasting, a little beer tasting. Got a little loose on Friday night outside at the fire. Listened to some tunes. It was a good time. And then we came back here, and here being Cape Cod, and kind of sent it Saturday, kind of sent it Sunday. Had a
Shocker.
nice little like high school party action in the back room here. I was the
What does that
DJ.
mean?
I was just throwing down the tunes. It was very close quarters, just like
You.
hiding in the back room from mom and dad,
Why didn't you go
something like
outside?
that. Well, it was like 10 p.m. and we'd make a lot of noise, and there are children in the house, so we decided to kind of party in the laundry room. So I was on the beats, and I was throwing down. People were giving me lots of kudos for the songs that I was playing, like mid 2000s, like hip hop,
Let's say
some
what songs got some praise?
mixed in a little Fall Out Boy,
Ooh.
yeah. So threw some threw some good tunes in there. So it was a really good time. Played a little golf yesterday. I did not win, unfortunately, but there are
What'd you
other
play?
days. What?
What game did you play?
We just
Just
played skins. It was just a very standard skins game. So basically just net best ball. That's all it was. It was three guys. So 1v1v1. I came in second place, I believe. I don't really know. All I know is I didn't win.
that's
But
all that matters.
but it came down to the 18th hole. So I'm glad that everyone was in it on the 18th hole, and that made it a little more interesting. So it was good. It was a fun weekend. How was yours?
If you ain't first, you're last.
Damn right.
That is the motto in
Damn
life,
right.
in every aspect of life. That is the
Yep.
motto. My last week was good. Like you said, I saw you. We had the same experiences. I didn't do a beer tasting, but I did have my first sour beer.
Yes.
I don't like beer at all. I am not a fan whatsoever. It makes my stomach hurt and I think it tastes disgusting. But I thought the sour was good. I think it was a cherry sour. I
Yep.
it was the most like a seltzer, so that was a positive experience. And then Saturday and Sunday hung out, golfed on Sunday. Don't want to talk about it. And moving on, I golf about 3 times per year. One usually goes well, and then the other two don't, and it really upsets me greatly. It really up like a lot. Like I was really not having fun at all, and I should try to have fun, but I really can't stand being bad at golf. So that wasn't that great, but it was a beautiful day. And then I flew back Monday to New York. So now we are back in separate locations. And now just back at work. Was at work today and wasn't that exciting. Moving projects soon. So scoping out some
Ooh.
prospects. And yeah, that's kind of everything. We should probably dive into some sports moments. We had some big ones in the NHL and the NBA, but we do have some other news as well to branch out our sports commentary just a tad bit.
Yeah, it was the weekend of the green guys, basically since Thursday through
RIP Green
Monday.
Guys.
RIP to both the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Stars. Both green guys they're no longer alive in their respective seasons.
Yeah,
So we can start with the Boston Celtics. I did stay up and watch that game
same.
last night. I was in and out of sleep on the couch, but I did catch most of it. The Celtics never really had it. They were never truly in the game after that first quarter. Like the game just kind of, I don't know, it felt very flat. The fans were certainly into it.
Yep.
And even when they were down 10 points, the fans were rowdy and they were trying to stay loud. Miami just also never really missed. Like they kind of had perfect storm scenario where the Celtics couldn't make a lot, if anything. and everything the Heat kind of looked at if they had an open guy, he pretty much made it. So unfortunately, the Celtics were not the first team in NBA history to come back from a 3-0 deficit. So just gonna have to try that again next year. But I did see a stat.
Don't steal my stat.
Okay, I won't steal your stat. I didn't see it in the sheet, but I did see it. I saw it online. So I'm glad that we both have the same stat. But now we've got the Denver Chicken Nuggies against the Miami Heat, and the Heat are an 8 seed. So it's pretty wild to see an 8 seed in the NBA Finals because traditionally they don't make the NBA Finals as an 8 seed. Like the 8 seed loses in the
Yeah,
first round 95% of the time, and then if they somehow beat the 1 seed, they're out in the second round. So it just goes to show that maybe the Heat were a lot better than an 8 seed, and I did see that they were the lowest scoring team in the NBA this year. So it's very clear their offense took a lot of time to click. It sounds like they do have a lot of undrafted guys as well. So within the NBA, that certainly means a lot. So it'll be interesting. I I don't know. I don't see how the Heat are going to beat the Nuggets, to be quite honest. Denver seems to be rolling pretty good. Nikola Jokic, I mean, he's a beast. He's like 7'2". He hits these fadeaway jumpers from almost the 3-point line. It's pretty impressive to watch, even though I don't watch a lot of basketball. But at the same time, being a minus 440 favorite for the Denver Nuggets,
it's a lot.
that's a pretty heavy favorite.
But I don't know at this point if you can kind of count out the Heat
I
that
mean, you can't.
heavily.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the first play-in team to make it to the NBA Finals since the play-in
Wow.
tournament
How about that?
has started in the NBA, which is kind of interesting. Them and the Panthers, 2 8 seeds, so very interesting. Southern Florida, Miami, even though the Panthers rank is not technically in Miami, but yeah, very interesting. I wanted to say this stat because I didn't want the Boston fans to hate you. They can hate me, even though I'll soon be a Boston resident. Actually, my
Yes.
zip code won't even be Boston, so I can still kind of hate on Boston sports. But they're the first city to lose a home game 7 to an 8 seed in both the NHL and NBA in the same season. So tough, tough year for TD Garden. Gonna need someone to light some sage and get rid of those vibes for next year. But it was hard. I watched the whole game and they were down by like 20 by the end. And Heat never took out their starters, which I respected. And yeah, it was just the most NBA I've watched ever in my entire life has been this Celtics series. But we'll see what happens. I think the Nuggets are going to win too. I don't know how much I'll actually watch, probably zero. I say that now, but if it's the only sports on TV, maybe I'll watch it. So definitely interesting. But speaking of Southern Florida, we got to go to the NHL where unfortunately, I don't even want to talk about the embarrassing effort by the Dallas Stars yesterday. Just breaks my heart. Vegas won the series 4-2. So the NHL Stanley Cup final will be the Vegas Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers. So no matter what, we're getting a first time Stanley Cup winner, which I guess is cool to branch out of the teams that have won back to back and the teams that have won often. But Naked Cat prevails. Naked Cat is coming back, and it is now Naked Cat until we die. I was going to be conflicted if it was going to be the Stars and the Panthers, but I'm excited to watch it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so defeated about the Stars loss. I texted our group chat and said rooting for a sports team is just a joyless, useless experience in life. Like there's no positives that come with it since you lose more than you win for championships. But I guess I'll continue to watch. I'll continue my fandom. If the Panthers lose, I'm going to be even more heartbroken. So I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think that you talking about useless, joyless, waste of time and energy. I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. I certainly can understand it. Maybe not to the level that you are feeling the pain at the moment, just given I haven't rooted for a team that's been any good in, I don't know, 10, 15 years minimum. And I'm purely speaking on the hockey side. I think being let down on the football side is a bit of it's a different feeling. It was almost tragic to me when the Bills lost to the Chiefs with 13 seconds left in that game
Yeah.
that it tied up. It went to overtime. They lost the game, whatever. The 13-second thing really, really hurt. But I don't think that I would quantify that sting as bad as if like the Sabres made the conference finals and then lost 6-0 in game 6 to not get to the Stanley Cup. Or Yeah, I mean that's kind of all I can think about, or potentially got swept in the conference finals like Carolina did.
Yeah.
Like it's just that would be I'd be depressed, I'd be downtrodden, I wouldn't be going to the office. Obviously, you don't have a choice. I would still go to the office, but like everyone is catching my drift. Where it would be I'd be despondent after that. That's God forbid it was like a game 7 overtime loss to get to the Stanley Cup final, or heaven forbid they made the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
I would be out of my mind every day there was a game. I probably would just be like, oh my God, the game's in 12 hours. What am I going to do all day until this game starts? And then during the game, I would probably be about 12 inches from the TV screen for half of it.
Yeah. I watch on my iPad, so it's closer to my face so I can see more. It's
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm.
you'd rather come in last than have
Yes.
a
Yeah.
sliver of hope in any sport. Any sport. You'd
Agree.
rather your team, like during the season, yeah, your team stinks, like it sucks. But you're already like, oh, my
Agree.
team stinks. I mean, it's definitely like the Sabres not making the playoffs in the last game of the regular season. Like it's the same,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
hope is what kills you. Because they come
Yep.
back, they're down 3-0, and you have hope. They win a game 3-1. Okay, they win another, it's 3-2. They're headed home. You're like, oh my God, like maybe. You never know, maybe. But they just couldn't hang in there. I'll get over it. It's fine. We have a good core group of guys down in Dallas, my hometown team, and we'll see what happens. The Stanley Cup will be very, very interesting. It's like kind of like the Heat Nuggets, where like everyone's like, well, of course Vegas is going to win. I mean, of course, but you never know. I feel like you can't count these 8 seeds out now.
No, not anymore. And I think hockey's such a I'll say this, I guess with a grain of salt. Hockey's such a different sport than basketball. I feel that in basketball, there's a lot of this guy's a 45% 3-point shooter. This guy averages 29 points a night, et cetera, et cetera. Like you kind of know what you're going to get out of certain players. You know that Jokic is going to dominate. Like you know
Yeah,
that. Unless he somehow gets hurt, like Jason Tatum did last night, which was super unfortunate for the
yeah.
Celtics to be
A
quite honest.
minute in.
He got hurt in the first possession and it totally changed the game because who knows if he stays healthy, because then they kind of always just attack Tatum the whole game. But I do think that hockey is just a bit of a different sport. The puck might take a weird bounce, could go in game 1, could totally change momentum. If Sergei Bobrovsky continues to play the way that he's playing for the Florida Panthers, I mean they're nearly unbeatable at the moment.
Yeah,
Just given all their performances. What are they? 12-1 or 13-1 in their last 14 games. I mean that's an incredible run to go on in the playoffs. But those are the kind of runs you have to go on
yep,
to win the Stanley Cup. And I guess they're not 13-1 in the playoffs because that's not possible because you have to win 16 games. So whatever the run is, it's incredible. They've only lost one game in a number of in X number of games. So the Vegas Golden Knights are -110 to win the series. They're the best team in the West according to the regular season standings. They're the best team in the West according to the playoffs as well. So 110 is like that's kind of a pick'em series to be honest. I think Vegas is -110 because they're a 1 seed.
yep,
And yeah, I do I this is the one thing that's bothering me about the NHL. I know they have certain scheduling things with television and all that because I think the NBA finals are on TNT
yeah,
as well as the Stanley Cup finals. It doesn't start until Saturday, June 3rd. It's Tuesday, May 30th. It just ended on May 29th. I would have thought that maybe it could have started on Friday or
yeah,
maybe even Thursday. I know the NBA finals are starting on Thursday, so they don't want to go up against each other and they can't because of TNT. But at the same time, like Saturday night at 8 p.m. feels like a really long way away if you're a Vegas fan or a Florida fan, especially considering Florida won the series what Friday of last week.
yeah.
It was Friday night of last week, or it was Thursday. It was Thursday night of last week. So they will have not played a game for 9 days. Most likely, Vegas is going to win game 1, given the fact that Florida hasn't played a game in 9 days. But you can't count the naked cats out. So who knows? But that's just my prediction.
I mean, you know me. I'll go to my grave complaining about scheduling. It's
Yep.
hard, and I'm sure this wasn't taken into account thinking about dates and everything because now you have two teams in like in the same market, so you're
Yeah.
rivaling potentially for the same audience. I mean, obviously the NBA audience is much bigger, but you're now rivaling for the same group of fans to watch this game in this particular area. So that's complex in and of itself. Now, with that being said, I will like I said, I will go to my grave. Any game that is on a Saturday or a Sunday should be in the afternoon. I don't
Yes.
understand. Let's
Yes.
do a 5 p.m. Okay, so we have a West Coast team, so we don't want them to play at 2 p.m. in their time. Let's do a 6, maybe even a 7. Why do we have to wait till 8 p.m.? Especially because the NBA does it right. Game says it's starting at 8. That tip
The
off
game starts at it. Yep.
is at 8. It starts at 8. If the NHL, the game says it starts at 8, you're not getting puck drop till 8:30 at the earliest. It's bullshit. It's crazy. You're like, okay, 8 p.m., here we go. And they're like still on for warm-ups. You're like, what is going on? But like I said, I will complain for the rest of my life about the scheduling, especially the NHL. I think you could argue that a long break for these teams late in the playoffs could hurt them, or it could be helpful if you got a couple guys who are banged up, could help bring some guys back into the series for the Panthers. We'll see what happens in both NHL and NBA. We'll recap next week with the first 1 or 2 games that each play. Maybe I'll tune in since there's not really anything else going on. Well, I guess baseball is going on, so we can go to our baseball
Woo!
story.
Baseball.
Who
Hold on one
knows?
second, though.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of it's going to ease your pain for the Stars. In 1996, the Stars missed the playoffs. In 97, they lost game 7 in overtime in round 1. In 98, they lost in the Western Conference final in 6 games. In 1999, they won the Stanley Cup. But that was over my Buffalo Sabres, so I'm not a huge fan of this. 2021, they missed the playoffs. 2022, they lost in game 7 overtime of round 1. Maybe we can sense a trend. 2023, they lost in the Western Conference final in 6 games. 2024, based on that, if history were to repeat itself, you never know.
No, see, I'm a big believer in like jinxes and karma and
You
all
think
this
I just
stuff.
jinxed that?
And I think as soon as someone pointed out that trend, it's not happening.
Well,
That's how I feel.
you never know.
But
You
I'm
never know.
feeling negative about the prospects as they lost 6-0 last night. So I'm feeling a
Yeah,
little,
they got whacked.
yeah. But let's move on to our good guy story of the week
Yep.
in Major League Baseball. Some baseball news since we both don't watch, but I saw this news. Liam Hendriks, he is the White Sox closer. He was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma. I don't know how long ago, but the manager basically said, we told him, like, if you miss this entire season, like, we're not, like, that makes sense. Like, we're fine with that. If you make it to right after All-Star break, we're still fine with that. Like, that timing still works with what you're going through. He made it back in May, which seems like a crazy timeline based on when he was diagnosed. He came back, he pitched 1 inning last night. If you haven't seen the video, go check out the video online. It's really cool. Him running on the field and standing ovation. With the pitch clock, the ump let him kind of like stand on the mound for about a minute, and like they all were chanting his name. It was super cool. He didn't do awesome, but with that being said, still really cool kind of entrance back. And the coolest part was his wife and his friends and stuff were in the box, and I saw a tweet that he threw a ball that should have been a strike. They called it a ball, and his wife was still screaming at the ump
He was giving it to him.
that he missed a call, and I love that. Just full on supporter. It doesn't matter if he gave up 10 runs in the 1 inning. She was like, "You're gonna call it like you should." Like, got
Yep.
on his ass about it, which I really appreciated. But we love a good story in sports and something that kind of like I said, a good guy story of things going on instead of like complaining about scheduling and all of that. I don't know how good the White Sox are, but still cool that he's back playing baseball. He was still training while he was going through chemo and all of that, which is insane to think about. But really cool story. I still probably won't watch baseball till it's playoffs, but good to stay informed on what's occurring in the 5,000 game seasons that they play.
Yes, agreed. So funny enough, the White Sox are 22 and 34 this year, so they're not
Not
good. They're
great.
12 games below 500. They're 12 and 14 at home. They're 10 and 20 on the road. Whatever. Okay. The AL East, the top team is 39 and 17. The bottom team is 28 and 26. So all the teams are over 500 within the AL East. The Minnesota Twins are in first place in the AL Central, the division that the White Sox are in, with a record of 28 and 26. So they would be in last place in the AL East if they were in that division. So the AL Central, ipso facto, stanks.
Yeah. It's kind of like the NHL this year where the Eastern Conference during the regular season was just so much better
Yeah,
than the
yeah.
Western Conference teams. It's like, damn, And I think the Red Sox are in last in the AL East. It's like, damn, if
They're in fourth.
or in fourth. It's like, if we were just in another division, we
They'd be in
and
first.
yeah, it's crazy. Should we
You know,
move to our kind of out of the box sports moment?
turn left, Dale.
I saw this on as I was doing my sports news perusing today for this podcast episode. I don't usually click on anything that has to do with NASCAR or any car racing since I know pretty much nothing other than like know a little about F1, but know pretty much nothing. I don't tend to care about NASCAR. For those people who do, good for you. But there was a crash this weekend in the Coca-Cola 600, which I just is 600 the number of laps, the number of miles. I'm not sure, and I promise I'm not going to Google it to figure it out unless you know off the top of your head.
I
But
think I was always under the impression it's the number of laps,
okay, that's a lot of laps to turn left.
but I'm going to be checking as you're chatting here.
I guess it can't be miles unless the track is 1 mile. I don't know. Anyways, Chase Elliott, who I guess is always voted the most favorite. They have like a vote every year of like favorite driver, which I think is kind of funny. They should have a fan vote of like favorite player in other leagues. But he's always voted the past few years favorite driver. And you all should watch the video because it's kind of wild. I don't know how fast they drive, but faster than we drive on the highway. And he intentionally turned his wheels even more left than their usual left turns and took out Denny Hamlin, hit his back bumper, spun him out, and Denny Hamlin, however fast they're going, goes face first right into the wall, crashes out of the race. Denny Hamlin hops on Twitter, which, we complain about social media, but I think it's kind of funny when all these players and drivers and athletes can go on and like talk shit or like prove their point or whatever, basically remapped out the race in a simulation and showed that he did it on purpose, that you wouldn't just make that move
Wow.
with the simulator. And he's saying that he should be suspended. Drivers in the past have been suspended, but because he's the favorite driver voted every year, fans are thinking he shouldn't be, and that because he got bumped in the wall a little bit, it was warranted. It's a very interesting drama in the NASCAR world, which we don't usually notice or hear about.
No, we don't. I do remember the day that Dale Earnhardt unfortunately died in the Daytona 500. That was kind of wild just to like be alive and have heard that. I was young though. Maybe it was like 8 or 9 years old. So I have a couple updates for you here as
Oh,
well.
okay.
The Coca-Cola 600 is the longest race in NASCAR
Okay.
where they drive approximately 600 miles.
Oh, it's miles.
It is miles, it is not laps. Miles in the kilometers is 970 kilometers.
How long does the race usually take? This is a lot of deep diving
Believe
into.
it probably takes, I don't know, 3.5 hours or so.
Oh,
So there are 4 stages. There are 400 laps. All the stages are 100 laps each. Now, NASCAR recently had changed, they changed their like scoring model. So now you earn different sets of points based on how far you make it within each stage.
okay.
And then so I think it's to keep like fan engagement a little more
Yeah.
engaged,
Short
essentially.
term attention
Yeah.
span. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So now, like, if you win the fourth stage, you win the race essentially because you've made it through all the stages. But you can still accrue points for like stage one, stage two, stage three. So super interesting. 400 laps though, 600-mile race. In other news, Chase Elliott has been suspended by
Oh,
NASCAR for one race. He was suspended for one race after his Coca-Cola 600 incident. There's a full penalty report on NASCAR.com. Now, I'm not going to get into that, but it goes through the whole thing and it shows you why basically, it shows you the intentional crash and then why he decided, or why they decided, why the NASCAR rules officials decided to suspend him. So if you're interested, check it out. We don't usually talk about NASCAR. It's not going to be a regular topic.
no.
Turn left, Dale.
I don't promise that we will ever speak about NASCAR again, but I think it's interesting because I don't know. I think when people get suspended in any sport, it's kind of interesting. I'm gonna have to look up average speed of a NASCAR
Ooh,
vehicle.
ooh, I'll
Gotta
do
be
that right now.
It's
I'll
gotta
do
be
that
boring. I don't know. People love NASCAR though. It's always like more popular than I realized. But yeah, I'm glad he's suspended. I'm glad that I found that the Daytona Beach News and Journal did a poll and they didn't want him to be suspended. So I'm glad that they did not listen to the Daytona Beach News and Journal Twitter poll for the decision.
Well, that seems like a pretty biased group of
Well, it's
people
like the
because
fans in
that's where the
Daytona.
Daytona 500 is also held. So they have some bias and loyalty towards the NASCAR drivers. And it sounds like Chase Elliott. It sounds like he's this like this god among
Yeah.
NASCAR fans.
I wonder who his sponsor is. I wonder if it's M&M's. Sometimes NASCAR does have like interesting sponsors though on their like jumpsuits and their cars, which I think is kind of funny. Like I think Rutgers University sponsors a NASCAR car, a NASCAR. I don't know what the right.
It's just the NASCAR. That's all it is.
Interesting. Okay, a NASCAR, which I think is
Yep.
funny. But did you get an answer? If not, we can move on.
I did. So their average speed all depends on the size of the track. So they race on some smaller tracks, which are only a half mile around total. The top lap speed there is 100 miles an hour, with the average speed being 82. Then we'll use Dover as an example. It's a 1 mile track.
Okay.
Top speed is 167. Average speed
Oh,
is 137.
oh, way faster.
Super speedway such as Talladega or the Daytona 500, something like that. Top lap speed's about 213 miles an hour, and the average speed is 188. So they're zooming,
Oh,
they're
wow.
flying. But then super interesting, just because I think it's cool because it's near where we're from, is Watkins Glen, their road track down there in the Finger Lakes. Top lap speed's only 93, and it's an average speed of 70. So pretty significant drop off, obviously, because they also have to turn right in that
Oh,
track as well.
God.
They have to turn left and right instead of just left. So of course that's got to slow them down even more because they're only used to looking left the whole time. Now they got to look right a little bit. So we're getting two sides. We're getting everything's being used. So just a little fun fact of the day. That's actually super interesting to me to learn that.
Yeah, I don't know about the super interesting, maybe interesting. Do you think they got blinkers? Probably not. Do you
I
think they have to hold up their fingers and say, like, when you do like left and right with your pointer and your thumb, and they're like, oh, I only know left with the backwards out, and they're like, shit, I got to do like the right one. I don't know what that means. I don't know. It's
You think
very
they have wipers on those cars? Probably. Well,
probably.
probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, I'm not gonna Google this.
Do you think
Let's,
they have blinkers?
I mean, you don't go in both ways. You might
You're
need to.
right. You're right. You're only turning left. You never need a blinker.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine if we made them blinker every time they turn left? But let's move on to our segment now that we continue to have a trend to do, which is good shows and movies to watch. This one I put in this week because the official trailer for the Barbie movie is out. And you know what? Some people might be hating on the Barbie movie, but in the trailer it says if you love Barbies, it's a movie for you. If you hate Barbies, it's a movie for you. I think everyone should go see it. The trailer was actually pretty funny. Like I chuckled, like a light chuckle a few times. I think everyone should go see it. It looks like it's actually going to be a good movie. I think it's going to be one of those movies that's going to be out in the theaters. Some people will go. People are going to be like, man, it's kind of a joke. But then, like, over the years, is going to be one of those movies that, like, people continue to bring around as, like, funny and joking. And I think it's actually going to end up making a lot of money. So, large popcorn, Diet Coke. We're going to see the Barbie movie in July when it comes out. Just letting you know, go check out the trailer.
All right. I'll have to go check the trailer out. I see that it's Margot Robbie. And shout out to Thomas who got bonked yesterday in the chat because he got bonked back back to jail because of Margot Robbie. Just FYI, Thomas.
Go to jail, skip
Go directly
go,
to
all those
jail.
things.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200, just like your experience in the Baltimore airport a few weeks ago. So,
Correct. All right. Our
yes,
last segment of the day, we're going to continue with the who's hot, who's not. I put these in this
you
week,
did. You
just
did.
touching on. We're going to keep who's hot, our first who's hot, Vanderpump Rules, because it is not over.
Nope.
And the second part of the reunion tomorrow night, tune in.
Ooh.
They just yell at each other. There's some really, really good insults thrown, like things you can take into your daily life, which I highly recommend just tuning in for that
Can you give us
aspect.
an example?
Worm with a mustache,
Oh,
just great stuff. Just great, silly, silly things. So I think we should continue that. Who's not this week is Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders.
yeah, tough
Un-
one.
tough one. Unfortunately, he failed his first physical. There is a clause in his contract that people have now found out that he can be terminated at any time because of his foot injury. He's taken all liability away from the Raiders if he were to lose any or further injury, if he were to lose ability in his left foot. Like he's fully taken away any liability towards the NFL and the Raiders, meaning he wants to play. He knows how bad his injury is. But if he does not pass his physical before the regular season starts, they can terminate him with no penalty at all, no money given. But that will leave the Las Vegas Raiders with no quarterback. And I say no quarterback because their backup, I had no idea who he was. It was some old guy, like one of those 37-year-olds who just stick around to be a career backup. And then a fourth round guy, I believe from Purdue or Wake Forest, maybe Wake Forest, but rookie guy. I don't think he's ready to play. So it will be very, very interesting to see what happens with the Raiders and Jimmy G. He might end up back at the 49ers in the backup role in case someone gets hurt.
It's all so very interesting that as soon as Tom Brady comes into the fold with the Las Vegas Raiders, Jimmy G just happened to fail his physical. It's just very, very fishy. And I could have gotten duped. I could have gotten duped on Twitter. I've been duped before. I'll be duped again. Tom Brady is now the 2-1 betting favorite in Las Vegas
Oh
to
my
be
God.
the next Raiders quarterback. Of course, he's not going to be, but wouldn't that be wild if Jimmy G failed his physical and then Tom Brady was the quarterback? I don't know if you could be an owner slash player though, because now he's a minority
I
owner.
don't know.
But
I mean, why not?
I think the NFL would let him do anything he wants at all
Yeah.
times. So
No, it's why I one last question. Why would you not have him get a physical before he signed the contract? Seems stupid. But
no, I'm pretty sure he I think when you get cut in the NFL, your contract stays in place if there's still years left on it, and then whoever you go to has to pick up the remainder of the contract because there's like,
yeah,
but
but
I
DeAndre
don't know.
Hopkins just
I
got
don't know.
released and
Clearly,
he's looking for a new deal.
I think there are certain days and deadlines and
Yeah,
timelines
who
that
knows?
you
Confusing.
get cut before a certain day. I don't know. I could be very wrong, but I feel like I read that somewhere. It was probably on the internet, so it was probably wrong.
Well, your Twitter is not factually accurate. We've proven.
We have
Moving
discussed
on.
that. Yes.
Moving on. Who's hot this week? Cocaine Bear, the movie. It has a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now,
Nice.
that is a high score for what the movie says it's about. It is an American horror comedy loosely inspired by a true story where American black bear ingested nearly 75 pounds of lost cocaine. Quite something. The reviews are, I'll read a few just to give you why it's a
Okay.
hot this
All right.
week.
All right.
Sporadically goofy fun, a scrappy carnival of ripped limbs, severed heads, and spilled intestines, all softened by an only partly, oh, I don't know how to say that word, parodic? You know what I'm trying to say.
Parodic is probably right. Parodic is
Family
probably
centered movie. For an audience desperately looking for a good time, they'll find it. More discerning fans of junk might see an opportunity missed. So it seems like a movie we should all see once it's free on a streaming platform if you're looking for a trash movie at some point.
Oh, by the way, Air is included with Amazon Prime, so I'll be watching that
Oh,
as soon as possible.
okay. And then you let me know your thoughts.
I
Moving
will.
on to Who's Not of this week, our second Who's Not. NBA ref Eric Lewis. He is now under investigation for a potential burner Twitter account talking about NBA refereeing, which is not allowed in their contracts. They can't discuss any other officiating. People think that he favors the Celtics. They're like 22-1 or something when he officiates.
Yep.
And the burner account was defending himself, or if it wasn't him, allegedly himself, against these allegations. He is not allowed to ref until the investigation is over. So that is a who's not of a potential ref scandal if he is a Celtics fan. Quite interesting. It's too bad he wasn't there for game 7.
Yeah, but I did see some other wild stats about the refs last night in that Celtics Heat game where like the Heat were 2-13 in their last 15 in the last 2 seasons with one of the refs that were on the floor.
Scott
And
Foster.
one Scott Foster. And one notable thing was that like they didn't call a lot of shooting fouls last night. Like they
Yeah,
let the boys play as they say,
which we like.
which
Yo,
which,
well,
which we like
well,
sometimes.
they
Sometimes.
should they should call. They should call
They should
penalties that are penalties.
penalties should be penalties and fouls should be fouls.
Correct.
Unless, of course, there was that
No,
tripping call.
nope, that was a penalty. Moving on to our last Who's Hot of the week. Big on this, back to baseball. MLB dugout fights. All out brawls with the whole team on both teams when dudes are getting hit by pitches. I am all in on the
Oh, hell yeah.
fights.
Hell yeah.
Guy in the Astros got pegged a night or two ago, and all the Astros boys stood up, ready to fight, ready to freaking go. I'm all in on a fight a game. I'm in for that.
I agree fully. I'm all in. At this point, I want to see like maybe a little bat throw before they charge the
Yeah.
mound. I want to like I really want to see a little bit of violence in
Throw
baseball.
the bat like a spear at the
Like
pitcher. I'm
it
in.
doesn't even it doesn't even have to be a spear, but like
No,
let's
do
get
it.
let's get it fired up. Let's get the bullpens at dead sprint at one another.
Yes.
I want to see some like gladiatorial shit on a baseball field, like full speed contact with no pads. Like, let me see it.
Some rugby style.
Yes.
It's so
Yeah.
funny when the fight's been going on already for 45 seconds and then
Yeah.
the like bigger closer guys still running in from the bullpen to go fight someone. That's also electric to watch on television.
I of course don't want anyone to get hurt though.
No,
I'm rooting for physical. I'm rooting for
fun.
physicality without injuries.
Physical fun. Our last Who's Not is these unathletic Twitter trolls criticizing NCAA athletes. Specifically, this example is from the national championship women's lacrosse game that happened. Northwestern was up by 10, 11. Girl scores, empty net. The goalie came out to play defense. She scores with a second left to make them up
Saw
by
that.
12. And you know what? The first instinct is that's not sportsmanlike. The second instinct is if you're in a national championship game and you have an empty net, shoot the ball in the net. You
Yep.
only get maybe one opportunity to score in a national championship game. And if you've never been in that position, even if you have, let the kids have fun. Let the kids score goals. F that. They worked hard to get to that game. If I have an empty net, I'm shooting in the net. I'm not running the other direction. That's stupid.
Agreed. That's all I got.
That's all I got. That's everything. That's our Who's Hot, Who's Not. Again, follow us on all platforms.
One, like, subscribe, rate 5 stars, comment that you love us, comment that you hate us. Just rate us 5 stars, please.
If you love us, comment. If you hate us, comment. It's like the Barbie movie. We're the Barbie movie.
Are we the Barbie movie? So I get to be Ryan Gosling? Sweet.
That's not the only male character in the Barbie movie. Let's not
Yeah,
get crazy.
he's Ken. So
No, there's other men in the Barbie. You're not Ken. Any big
why am I
plans this
not Ken?
weekend? Any big plans this weekend?
This weekend, mom and dad are coming to visit. We're doing some
Right.
wedding planning. We've got a little cocktail tasting at the other half of the venue, signature cocktails. So it's going to be fun. They're coming in Thursday night. We're going to hit up a Mexican place. Friday night, we're going to have a good dinner. Saturday, we're going to do some rehearsal dinner planning and welcome party planning. And then they're leaving Saturday. And then who knows? It's another Saturday in Falmouth. It's probably could get weird, or we'll just watch the hockey game.
I don't like the weird part of that. That's
Weird just
exciting.
means drunk.
Shocker. T-minus 52 days till the big day.
Oh,
Very
you have a
exciting.
countdown. Nice. I don't even have a countdown.
I was looking at your registry today and the countdown popped up.
Oh, you're still in the registry action, huh?
I am still in the registry action.
Someone keeps buying the stuff you want to
If you
buy.
ain't first, you last. It might as well be last one.
Might as well be last in this one.
Everyone keeps buying all my shit I want to buy. So, anyways, I don't have any plans. Thanks for asking. I'm gonna lay low, focus on myself and my fitness, maybe
Ooh.
sleep in. And yeah, that's everything. Any last note?
Like, subscribe, rate 5 stars, comment, love us, hate us. Like, subscribe, rate 5 stars. Check out the YouTube. We need some more views.
Check out the YouTube. Check out our lovely faces. I know everyone who listens probably can't get enough. All right, everyone.
Woo.
Have a great week. We will talk to you guys next week. Woo!